there's one thing in closing that we have in common is neither of us will be the nominee for our party in 2024.
Governor Gavin Newsom of California and Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida had a pretty unusual debate Thursday night. The debate was on Fox News Channel, which was a pretty big advantage, as you can imagine, for DeSantis, hosted by Sean Hannity, the conservative commentator. It was sort of billed as both a clash of red and blue states, but also a clash of personalities. You know, DeSantis is running for president. Newsom is always rumored to be interested in running for president sometimes. Some are even accusing him of having a shadow campaign right now. Here are the four takeaways from this really unusual debate.
I think that's an interesting point with Disney, because I had Disney open during COVID and we made them a fortune and we saved a lot of jobs. You had Disney closed inexplicably for over a year. You were not following science. You were a lockdown governor. You did a lot of damage to your people.
The first one is about DeSantis. He did not look like a guy who was running for president this year, maybe a guy who's running 4 years from now, but he was really careful to stand up for the Biden administration. At one point, he even corrected Ron DeSantis on his pronunciation of Kamala Harris, because DeSantis kept saying Kamala, like a lot of people do. And, you know, he also went into a really tough environment. The deck was really stacked against him because Hannity, even though he pledged to be a neutral moderator, really weighted a lot of the questions in a more conservative direction. So that put Newsom really on the defensive for a lot of the night, and he really deflected a lot in his answers, didn't always answer things directly.
Gavin Newsom was mayor of San Francisco. So he took the San Francisco model, turned that into a template for California's collapse. Now the left wants to take the California model and use that as a template for America's collapse. We cannot let that happen.
The second takeaway is about San Francisco. Not surprisingly, took a beating. You know, this is the favorite whipping boy of Republicans and conservatives for decades, and it's really been a favorite of DeSantis. He, made a video earlier this year where he said that leftist policies had left people defecating on the street and using drugs, and basically a den of iniquity. And he continued along that. He said it was a template for California's collapse, and then a template that what Newsom would do for America's collapse. He really heightened the fear of San Francisco here. Newsom tried to fight back and basically said, how can you run for president and say California, which has this huge percentage of the nation's population, is this terrible place? Doesn't seem like good politics, was the point he was making.
Ron DeSantis signed the most extreme anti-abortion bills in America. He signed a bill banning any exceptions for rape and incest. And then he said it didn't go far enough and decided to sign a 6-week ban before women even know they're pregnant, Ron, before women can even access a doctor's appointment. So extreme is your ban that criminalizes women and criminalizes doctors that even Donald Trump said it was too extreme.
The next takeaway is about abortion. The questions were framed as trying to put Newsom on the spot about this, whether or not he favored late-term abortions. But really, politically, this is a bigger problem for Republicans on this side of the ledger because, most of the polling shows that Americans don't want to completely curb or outlaw abortions at an earlier phase. And, the court decision has allowed them to do that, including in Florida under DeSantis.
I support border security. I think the asylum system is broken. I believe that we need—
I understand that.
I'm the only guy here that's a border state governor. You're trolling folks and trying to find migrants to play political games to try to get some news and attention so you can out-Trump Trump. And by the way, how's that going for you, Ron? You're down 41 points in your own home state.
He's just throwing stuff out to see what sticks against the wall. This is a slick, slippery politician whose state is failing, people are leaving his state, and he's trying to run interference for his failure.
The last takeaway involves DeSantis. He's really been not doing well in the Republican presidential primary, despite coming in with a lot of promise. So this was seen by some as somewhat of a desperate stunt, but you could argue it paid off pretty well. I mean, he looked a lot stronger in many ways than Newsom. The question is, will he get a boost? Will a lot of people pay attention to this? I suspect Fox News will continue to talk about the debate a lot and praise DeSantis because it was their show putting this on. So that's a big help for him because that's a big part of the Republican base. The question really, though, is this just a sugar high? This happens a lot in presidential primaries. A candidate will have a decent day, but it really won't matter in the long term. In the long term, in this race, really is Trump is the overwhelming favorite. And the chief alternative at this point is looking more and more like Nikki Haley. DeSantis is hoping to take that back from Nikki Haley, at least, to be the chief alternative. But none of this really gets rid of Trump, who's leading by huge margins in most polls. Lastly, this is not a takeaway, but I think the big question on a lot of people's minds is, okay, so, maybe neither of these guys will be president in 2024 or win that election, but is it a preview for 2028? A lot of people have that question. I have my own doubts, but we'll save those for other takeaways on another day.